A couple other guys that I want to make sure I shout out here. First off, Nico Batum, man.
Love
Straight
him.
up untouchable. That, like, when I'm making
Yeah.
the list of this team, it is Joel Embiid, it is Tyrese Maxey, and then it is Nico Batum for the players that I am not trading. He is going to win a playoff game for this Sixers team. There is no doubt in my mind between that 3-pointer that he hit with the weird release early on, which he had to
So
go all the
good.
way up to catch. That was insane. It looked like he thought about shooting it in midair, then came down, still hit it. And then that block at the end with the little stare down. It was like
Oh my
he's got
God.
some like spice to him that I did not
Yeah.
realize either. So talk to me about Nico Batum and what you saw with him.
Yeah, dude, I'm like beaming. I love Nico. I think, and a
Awesome.
lot of Sixers fans, I think, are getting on the same page here. It was maybe a little bit, I don't want to say questionable at the beginning. I think a lot of people just didn't know about Nico Batum,
Yeah,
but dude, he is so good.
he's the man.
He's just a really like he's just so good at everything. And it's like the opposite way when we describe Tobias is that is like we expect Tobias to be here and he kind of plays always here. Like Batum's skill set is just so vital. His length, he can switchable defensively. He was guarding Jamal Murray and De'Aaron Fox this weekend. Like
Yeah.
what is that? But he's just so long and smart and tactical in the way that he plays defense, and then offensively, just a connector in every sense. Such a great passer. I do think that they like rely on him almost too heavily as an inbound or
Entry
post.
passer. Yeah.
Yeah, and because like last night, 2 or 3 times when he got the ball, like the Nuggets just started to shrink in. They know that he's trying to get the ball to Joel. But dude, the no div three happened right in the corner where I was. And I was like astonished. I literally like I was there with my sister's boyfriend. I was like, dude, did you see that? The first thing I talked to my friends about this morning at work, I was like, did you guys see the Nico Batum no dip three? He jumped, kept it, and never brought it below his head and released it up here. That's unbelievable. And he's just so much fun. The block at the end and him talking shit, like
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that. And I
Yeah.
was just like right there. I was like, oh my God, he's talking shit to Jamal Murray right now. In a huge part of the game. The play was
Yeah.
going down the other end and he was still talking shit. It was amazing. Big Nico Batum fan. He was awesome yesterday.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And this team's got some dogs, man. And another one, probably the loudest barker of the bunch, is Pat Bev, man. Pat Bev's a real part of this team. Pat Bev is
Yeah.
a real deal, high level rotation piece, and deserves to be on this team. That it last night was not one that showed up in the box score as much. That through the game as a whole, he still finished with 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Was
That's
2 of 3 on
good.
3-point attempts. The hook shot, the 3-pointers are back, and defensively, a couple big rebounds. Like there's one particularly that I remember him like going up and getting. That was like a crucial point in the game in the fourth quarter. He's been in the closing lineup for back-to-back games, and really dating back a little further than that. I think this is here to stay. That Pat Bev,
Yeah.
and we'll see when DeAnthony Melton comes back how much that changes things a little bit. But I'm all in on Pat Bev, and I another guy that I have zero interest in him wearing any other uniform but a Sixer for as long as he wants to play basketball.
Yeah, I'm last night was an awesome game from Pat Bev and like the quintessential Patrick Beverly basketball game.
Yeah.
Like he complained about a foul for 4 minutes of play. I'm not kidding you. Like where he clearly fouled Aaron Gordon. He talked to the official about it and was like he was respectful. Like he kept going back over and saying something and then agreeing and then walking away and then coming back and talking about it again. But the defense on Jamal Murray was fantastic. And just a dude that's like never gonna give up and has so much pride that it's insane. The sidestep or step back like three right after he hit the layup on Jokic, and then on the other end he comes back
Yep.
down, and I was like, no way, and he hit it. Yeah, great game from Pat Bev, and I was actually listening to the Paul George podcast that he did with Karl Anthony Towns, and they were talking about Pat Bev and how like smart he is when he's talking about the game, and the coaches always like kind of push it away because they have a game plan, and he's like sometimes contradictory. And I feel like him and Nick Nurse have a really strong relationship that Nurse like trusts him. And the way that he's talked about him over, and the way Pat Bev has talked about it on his podcast is like he takes all that in. He takes that information in. I think he uses Pat Bev's intelligence along with him rather than kind of brushing it off as like you're being crazy. Which I think Pat Bev also feels empowered by. So I like the energy that he brings, and he's been so much fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if you saw this quote or not, this from the most recent podcast, but this is Pat Bev here. And first off, I love the belt to ass tour that he
Yeah.
keeps flaunting everywhere and saying. But this quote here from Pat Bev, he says, quote, I texted coach. I had to tell Nurse this Lamborghini is ready for any type of minutes a game. So I texted him a couple weeks ago and told him because I felt like we were in some games. I think I was like at the 12 to 13-minute mark. I told him I can do more. Allow me to do more. And he's going to let me rock a little bit. So I'm fortunate. And it is
Yeah.
cool to see that type of relationship. I also love the primary shit talker on the Sixers team going from a minivan to a Lamborghini. Quite the upgrade there. Have to love that. But I do love that from Pat Bev. He definitely has like a respect around the league with referees, with coaches. That is really cool to see. He's absolutely earned his stripes when we talk about a guy who has played overseas, who's played in the G League, who's really got it out the mud, worked his way up, and has turned himself into a legitimate high-level role player beyond all the noise, beyond all the, when you think of Pat Bev throughout his career, it's a lot of these, chest to chest, yelling at refs, clapping in face, slapping floor. But beyond that, there's substance in his play. He is a hooper. He's a guy that is capable in every area of basketball, so high IQ. And I do really appreciate him as a player in a way that I don't think I fully did until this year. I'm getting to watch him on an every night basis. So it's been very cool that has been the case. And I can't speak highly enough. He is all energy all the time. One more guy that I did want to point out here, another guy that I would throw in the dog category is Kelly Oubre Jr. The biggest play that he made that stood out to me last night was early on in that first quarter where he picked off that pass in the backcourt, went and dunked it, got the and one in there, or he didn't dunk it, finished around the rim, and then he just flexed on him and with the little scratch across his face popping out there. Oubre finished with 11 points, 5 rebounds, a steal. He shot 5 for 9 from the field, just 1 for 4 from 3. But I was really thrilled with what Oubre brought once again. It's not quite like an apples to apples comparison, but it's a little bit like this Aaron Gordon role to me that we're seeing with the Nuggets, where he's like a better player than kind of the role he's being asked to do. But the best version of him is kind of a minimized version of himself. So I'm still loving what Oubre brings. And I do like that, like the extra size that he brings to the lineup as well.